So the country that I selected for this assignment is Indonesia because it's my birthplace, and I also went on a 2-month trip over there about 2 years ago, which is pretty important because it was my first time going over there since coming to America for about 15 years now. And so naturally, I compared American culture to Indonesian culture, and I noticed some pretty big differences, as you can imagine. So the two cultural dimensions that I'll be focusing on for Indonesia are their social identity and their views of time. And for easier understanding, I'll be comparing Indonesia to America using the resources that Professor McLaughlin provided, and I'll also be providing brief anecdotes from my experience in Indonesia because I think that's pretty important, that I went through some very big culture shocks. So on Hofstede Insights, Indonesia ranks 14 on their scale of individualism, while America ranks 91. So this is a pretty big dichotomy, and I believe that it correlates to their differences in systems of economy and general demography. So many Americans tend to stay within their own cultural identity. This could be their ethnicity, race, religion, class, etc. It could be anything. They basically have fewer cultural interactions with one another. But in Indonesia, cultural identity is inherently more ambiguous because of their ancestry, and basically they have a more shared identity, which is the important part. Essentially, Indonesia's cultural default is diversity, which leads to greater cultural interactions. I will say, however, cultural factors that challenge traditional values are viewed negatively. This could be ambiguous ideas regarding gender, sexuality, or anything that is against socially conservative norms. Now, regarding their views on time, Indonesia ranks a 62 on Hofstede Insights, while America scores a 26. Indonesian time is more polychronic. Cultural connections between Indonesians is more important than deadlines or schedules. So they basically, in terms of time hierarchical talk, they basically prioritize a friend over whatever deadlines that they have. This factor was a culture shock for me because I felt like punctuality didn't even exist anymore, which I'll expand upon as I keep talking. So regarding social identity, I'll provide examples of how that impacts Indonesian life. So regarding social identity, every Indonesian inclines towards collectivism. Indonesians tend to care for others more than Americans tend to care for others. For example, if I left a child alone in Indonesia in a village, villagers would take it upon themselves to take care of that child and provide shelter. It doesn't matter if that villager was rich, poor, or if they were of Chinese, Indian, Polynesian descent. Doesn't matter, they would take care of that child. Whereas in America, that child would probably be kidnapped or be left on the street before anyone took care of them. Now, I know this is a generalized statement, but you get the point regarding individualism and collectivism. Now, regarding their views on time, this is the particular factor that affected every realm of my being, of my existence, every realm of reality that I once had. So I'll just give a brief and subtle example that's not so problematic. So if a friend were to visit another friend, you could expect like a 4-hour visitation at minimum, which isn't even that bad. The thing is, you could also anticipate that there may be a 2-hour arrival retardation or something like that. Like they may be 2 hours late, which is kind of problematic. Or there might not even be an established time that they should be arriving, which is subjective to each friend. Now, the most problematic effect that this cultural dimension held, however, was in public transportation. And so it was normal for public transit, a governmental affair, to be retarded by several hours. The thing that shocked me the most, however, was the people that were there, the civilians, the Indonesians that were there, weren't mad. It was normal for them, and they were happy that life was going on and the people around them are safe. And so they were kind of thinking about other things. And here I was thinking about, why isn't this dang train arriving when it should be here 4 hours earlier than the scheduled time? You know? And so I could apply this thought process of cultural ignorance to every cultural dimension that conflicts with my own. But regardless, I will say that I felt immense gratitude for what I have in America